What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to Sunday Night Bills Talk, where we talk everything Buffalo, all about the Bills. We're going to be recapping week 2 training camp, talking about maybe some NFL news. Who knows where we go? Sometimes we even talk about food. But hey, we're going to have a fun show. We got a special guest who I'm going to have Jake introduce in just a little bit. Obviously, joining me, as always, is Jake Podger from the Nickel City Mafia. And this is the only place where you can get ice-cold Loganberry on tap, 50-cent wings all night, $1 beers for the next hour, and those are cold beers, and those include Labatt's Blue. Jake, do you got one tonight to pop open? I know that
I had one just before. I don't have a Labatt. I'm in the new house. Forgive me. This is on me.
That's right.
Big hand up. Listen, we've been working for that sponsorship with Labatt for so long, and I'm doing them dirty tonight. So this is on me. I'm putting the hand up. I don't know if Justus has something that he's drinking over there he's sipping on. I got nothing but Gatorade Zero right now.
well, let's give a shout out to every week. We started this last week. Every week we want to give a shout out to some of the great wing places in and around Buffalo. And this is your favorite place. So let me bring that up real quick. And we're going to talk about the Bar Bill in East Aurora. So Jake, this is your favorite place. Tell the people all about the Bar Bill.
Well, if you haven't heard about the Bar Bill and you're living in Buffalo, you've been living under a rock. Justus, I don't know if you've been there just yet, brother. I know you just came back from Tampa not too long ago. You know, you're still figuring things out. West Seneca, you're not too far from East Aurora. I love it. Okay, so you're good. You're good. You got it clear. So I know Mike is very against this place because he is more about the traditional buffalo wing. Well, guess what? They still offer that. It's just kind of a different type of sauce, if you will. They have their own spin on it, which what wing place shouldn't do that? So on top of that, you're getting a bunch of other different wing flavors, most specifically, and probably their best wing on the menu, I do Cajun honey butter barbecue, but the honey butter barbecue sauce is just next level. They now sell it in tops. I don't think it's quite the same, but what really makes Bar Bill special is they make everything in-house. Their blue cheese is in-house. Their sauce is special. It's a very specific recipe. They paint every individual wing. Are you kidding me? That absolutely fires me up to no end. And then on top of that, the most Buffalonian thing in the world, you can get beef on weck there too, which is also extremely good. So yeah, how can you go wrong with this? It's definitely my top place. I know Josh Allen also says this is his top place. And listen, we got a lot of Josh Allen things going on right now, you know, between myself being a Walmart version, and then we have Justus's username saying JA17 MVP, which you can't go wrong with there. So I'll tell you what, this place is second to none. If you haven't been there, you got to get there. They did now I'm talking the original location too. There is another location out there in Clarence, which is good. But let me tell you this. You got to go to the OG mom and pop shop. And on top of that, they just switched over. So now they don't just do cash. They were a cash-only place for the longest time, for like 40 years. And this year, I think in February, I want to say, they just switched. So you can now pay by card as well. So makes it a little more convenient for these new age folks who don't have cash on them. Me, hand up. And yeah, it's just awesome, man. So can't go wrong. Now, I will say, you see the 50-cent wing advertisement here? That's only with us. That's the special you get with us. That is not the special you're going to get at Bar Bill. So be prepared to spend a little bit, but you'll spend a little bit anywhere you go. And honestly, it's money well spent. It's going to a great cause, great restaurant, great family restaurant. So got to love it, man. Here we are.
Yeah, I give Jake a hard time on this one, but, you know, it's one of the best. If you ask people for their top 5 wing places in and around Buffalo, the Bar Bill is typically at the top or near the top. And I got to a couple years ago when I took my family back to Buffalo. We went to a Dolphin game, and I got to meet Jake for the first time in person. We met at the Bar Bill, and we actually had some good fortune that night. It was a long wait. We had to go to another place right across the street, and Isaiah McKenzie was having a live show. So we got to sit on that while we were waiting for our spots at the Bar Bill. Then we ate at the Bar Bill, and it was fantastic. So I know I give you a lot of, you know, I joke around a lot, Jake, but they are fantastic. How can you compete with those? There are so many good wing places in Buffalo. We talked about Doc Sullivan's last week. This week it's the Bar Bill, and we'll keep going week after week. So 50-cent wings. Hit us up, man.
Spoken deal.
Tip your.
And I'll say this too. Like, I know a lot of people are here, you know, especially you, Mike. There's people in our comments as well that are all about the traditional buffalo wing, right? So Bar Bill does offer that. Their medium wing stands up to any in the area, in my opinion. It's a little sweeter. I don't really know how to explain it. It's a different type of sauce. It's still that medium sauce, and it's still that buffalo sauce, but they have their own little spin on it. I think it's fantastic. And their blue cheese, next level. And I know, Mike, you're really alone on this one.
Don't say it, Jake.
But
don't let the people
Mike's
know.
not a blue cheese guy. I don't know how Justice is, but Mike, not a big blue cheese guy. Don't let the people know.
I can't believe you throwing me under the bus tonight.
Listen, you said it live, so I'm just reiterating what you said. Yeah. Brutal.
They killed someone for that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There's a good story to it, Justice. I'll have to tell you someday. I mean, I grew up in Buffalo. My mom was a single mom, didn't make a lot of money. I had to like the blue cheese. I really did. But at some point in time, taste buds changed. Maybe I got away from it too long. And when I went back to it, I just haven't been able to get there yet. So anyhow, but Jake, look, we got a special guest tonight. So why don't you introduce this young man? And thank you so much, Justice, for joining us.
Absolutely. Yeah, Justice, I appreciate the hell out of you, man. I know we've been trying to do this for a little bit here, and it was great. So I was actually fortunate enough to partner up with my good buddy Joe Miller, who knows Justice as well. And we were playing golf at the Pancho Villa Memorial Golf Tournament this year, which was awesome. It was a great event. Justice was hanging out. I first met him at the one hole. I was several beers deep. I think I hacked it up quite a bit right in front of him. But we were just, a couple comments, talking a little football here and there. And then, of course, after golf, you meet at the bar afterwards. It was open bar for a little bit, so why not? Let's take advantage of it. Let's have a few drinks. Justice was sitting at the bar. We started talking a little bit. We bonded over our love for Dorian Williams.
Nice.
So here we are. And he actually reached out to me on Twitter, which was amazing. And I really appreciate you doing so, man. I think that day was special. There was a reason why we met each other. And listen, man, I'm so happy that we have you on the show. Didn't know a whole lot about your background, so I did a little research. I was on Twitter just kind of looking at your bio and all that good stuff. So first off, the creative director of Buffalo Fan Base. For people who don't really understand what Buffalo Fan Base is, those are the originators of the term Bills Mafia. So it started in 2011, I believe it is. And now Justice, obviously working with them, I think he's the right man for the job, of course. He really embodies the Buffalo spirit from what I understand. On top of that, you can find him on the radio. What is it? Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, did you say?
Monday, Wednesday, Sundays.
Monday, Wednesday, Sunday. Yeah, right. Got it. So just fantastic. And thanks for coming on, brother. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how this all came to be, sort of, and where you got your start and all that good stuff. But I'll let you sort of introduce yourself and take it from there.
I mean, that was an amazing introduction. I really appreciate it, guys.
I try to give you the juice.
I appreciate it, man. First of all, I want to say I love my brother Joe Miller with all my heart. He's an amazing guy. And I got the privilege of meeting Jake, while, kind of meeting up with my guy Joe. And first thing I immediately noticed was amazing energy. And I love good energy. I'm a high energy guy. I'm not super dramatic or anything. I like positivity. And I could tell immediately you were the same type of person. And that immediately was just we hit it off and clicked there. And then, of course, Dorian Williams. And then I heard you did podcasting. I was like, well, I've got to hear this. And, you guys are great. And I'm super excited to be here, man.
Love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah. And I guess my question to you is, first off, how did you get involved with Buffalo Fan Base? I mean, that's pretty sweet. That's a sweet gig you got going there.
So for me, originally, I was just watching guys like Rico from Buffalo Fan Base and, Greg Thompson from Cover One. Those guys, I was watching them on YouTube. And I was just like, I wish I had that ability to do that. I wish I could just get on YouTube and, just talk to people and, talk about the sport that I love. And, hey, you get what you ask for sometimes. And ultimately, sure, what happened was I was just on Twitter kind of giving my opinion about things, and people, I guess, could appreciate or maybe empathize with, because I'm an X's and O's type of guy to a degree, because I do enjoy watching film, and so when I give my deep analysis on things, I had a lot of people agreeing with me, and over time, I started to get more people noticing what I was doing. And a gentleman by the name of Dave Myers noticed me, and he asked me to come run his social media page for Built in Buffalo. I did so for a year, and within the year of starting there, and then before I left, I had become the president of Built in Buffalo.
Let's go.
Um, so yeah, so I left there, just creative differences, and I was like a couple of my guys from Building Buffalo. They decided to roll with me, and we were just gonna do our own thing. And beat reporter, Coach Mookie Hawkins, he ended up, in the most weird way, but he ended up contacting me, reaching out to me, and it was just like, listen, man, the people who started Bills Mafia, they have this massive fan base, this massive, just platform, and we want to capitalize on content creation from this platform. And he's basically just like, I like your content structure, I like the way you do things, and I think that you can take us where we need to go. And so this, we're going into our second year this year. I feel like we built a really, really great roster. But I'm always looking for talent, you know what I mean, because
Oh yeah.
and not only talent, but I'm really proud of the fact that our like our roster, as far as podcasts and shows, like we've got Ruben Brown, we got Ed Kilgore, the Warner, like just Warner and Buffalo, all these great shows, Jake Jordan, the Caveman, like it's high quality content, and that's important, but it's not as important as high quality people, high quality personalities, and just good people, good hearted people, not clickbaity, not I'm gonna argue with you for the sake of content. Which, I mean, like, get it how you live it. All right, I'm not one to judge, but there's a certain representation I think that should go along with what it means to be a part of Bill's Mafia. And
Absolutely.
and I feel like who we have, and the people that we associate ourselves with, really embody that. And I'm really, really proud to be able to convey that message to the masses.
Hell yeah. I love that, man. Yeah, that's super cool. I love the background. I think that really gives me a good idea of kind of what you're all about too. I obviously I felt like, just in general, you are a really good dude. And I think, you align very well with what Bill's Mafia is all about. So I think you're the perfect man for the job. So freaking love it, brother. That's great. Yeah. I was really curious to see like how you even got started with all that, and how it all came about. So that's it's extremely interesting. And yeah, happy to have you on, man. I appreciate this for real.
I'm glad to be on it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. I do want to say hi to some of the folks in there. Tom, we haven't seen you in a long time. Let's go. I know he was at the red and blue scrimmage on Friday. He actually took some videos, took some pictures for us. We're going to show those at some point, not during the show, but later. Sean from the Red, White, and Bills. Good to see you, sir. And let's see who else we got. Morning Mayhem, Linda West. Now she's saying this is interesting. Is this a place in Amherst as well?
I've heard great things about this place. So
right.
Listen, I apologize because I am a South Towns guy. It takes me some like arm pulling to get out to the North Towns, but I don't mind it. Listen, if it's for good wings and good food, I will go. But I'm in Hamburg, so I'm Southtown guy. It's tough. Sometimes you go north of Ridge Road, the traffic is a little more congested. I don't know how to feel about that just yet. Went to UB, commuted there my whole, well, I guess 3-year career at UB, and I hated every second of it. Like that Blue Water Tower, you get right by there, and it sucks, man. Let me tell you, especially at 5:00, you get after practice or whatever, you come back from that, and you hit the 5:00 rush hour traffic. It is brutal. So I will get out there, I promise you, Linda, because let me tell you, I've heard amazing things, and now you're reiterating that. So got to make my way. I think it's worth it. For good food, I will go anywhere. So love it.
Awesome. We got Brett out there from the Go Bills podcast. Thanks for joining us, Brett, as always. Scott, How do you say Scott's last name?
Scott
Archambault?
Archambault.
Archambault.
Actually, I
Okay.
really don't know. Scott, I apologize. I probably just butchered the hell out of that. Scott and I this weekend, Mike, saw him on Friday.
Nice.
Golfing a little bit, had a good time. We were out in Ellicottville for my wife's work retreat. It was freaking incredible.
Yeah.
Had a couple pops with Scott, talked a little football. Scott is really big on his X's and O's as well, really knows the game, and would love to have him on someday. I think that'd be great. Cool dude.
Then we got Timmy, who joined us Wednesday night for a fun show. That was fantastic. Yep. He says he's about to hit the hay, but he wanted to say hi. So good to see you, Timmy. Thank you. John Robert, who actually joined us last week on Wednesday from Facebook. So good to see you again, John. And he says juice from Bar Bills, too.
Juice from Bar Bills.
Is there some juice out there?
Unless he's talking about some type of beer or something. I don't know. I'm really not sure, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. Are you guys ready to talk some Buffalo Bills? Justus, you ready, sir?
Absolutely.
All right. Jake, where do you want to start this week?
I mean, we got to talk about Jordan Phillips returning today. I mean, that's one of the biggest stories. You want to talk about energy. This guy brings it. That whole D-line is fired up as hell when he's in the game. So returning from the PUP list, we had a couple other things too. They talked about Taron Johnson and Matt Milano also returning. I know they sat out, I think, Friday practice or whatever, too. So good to see some guys returning back. But, you look at this defensive line. I was talking about this on Friday, too. Besides Jordan Phillips, I need to highlight Poona Ford because let me tell you, man, that is going to be absolutely incredible to have a dude like him to come in and take some reps away from Daquan Jones, to give him some rest, to give him some time, and to keep that D-line fresh. I'm so excited about this. And obviously, Jordan Phillips returning, that's only going to help the case too. So, yeah, I'm fired up as hell about it. And Justus, want to get your take on the D-line, what you think about it. I've heard Shane Ray is looking phenomenal too. So this is certainly a storyline I want to follow too. I mean, being a former first-round pick and Shane Ray, this is a dude that was basically written off, had to go to the CFL, put up some decent numbers last year, and now he's getting another shot. So what are your thoughts on him? What are your thoughts on the D-line as a whole?
Yeah, man. I think it's absolutely amazing what Brandon Beane was able to do with his D-line, considering he started the season with less than zero money.
Yeah.
Last season. So first of all, when you take a look at what our defensive line was originally, like I want to say 2019 when we first started becoming like a good team, right? You had your Shaq Lawson and your Jordan Phillips were like the energy guys, right?
Yeah.
You remember when we beat Dallas on Thanksgiving and
incredible, man.
They were the heart and soul of not only our defense, really, but they were the energy and the spirit of the team. And when they both went away for well-deserved pay, again, I'm never with anybody going and getting their money. I'm never against it, rather.
Sure.
But I did, I was a little salty. I felt like Buffalo's their home. And funny enough, it ended up being their home. They ended up, coming right back. And, without them, we lost that spirit. We lost that energy. Our defensive line was not good. It was just not good. And then, Jerry Hughes
yep.
doesn't get it re-signed. And it's like, okay, what are we going to do now? Of course, we go get Von Miller. Von Miller is absolutely everything we could have hoped for, until he tears his ACL on a freak accident play, really, because it wasn't like, oh, he's old and it tore. Like, no, like anybody would have tore their ACL on that play. It was one of those freak plays. But to come back with another year of a more experienced and a more trained Gregory Rousseau, AJ Epinesa has gained some weight and he didn't look bad, I was excited to see him. I'm excited to see what he, has to offer. And again, you bring back Jordan Phillips and Shaq Lawson, the energy comes back as well. And then you go get Leonard Floyd to be there in the absence of Von Miller and, to be a rotational piece through the hopefully playoff stretch. And like you said, Poona Ford coming in, taking some snaps away from Daquan Jones, give him a blow here every now and again. I think that the rotation is not only powerful because you're keeping your good players fresh, but the what's the stat? I think it's like wins above replacement or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
losing. You're not losing a ton when you bring in a Leonard Floyd, or I'm sorry, a AJ Epinesa to replace Leonard Floyd, right? You're not losing a ton when you bring in a Shaq Lawson to replace um, Gregory Rousseau whenever he needs a blow. And then Von Miller comes back and you get a Hall of Fame pass rusher to be in that rotation. Poona Ford and Jordan Phillips and Ed Oliver. You know, these guys, you got a bunch of big boys down there being able to also fill out the rotation. I just think that it's the depth, the quality of the depth is it's got me more excited than I have been since like Mario Williams, really.
Wow, that's a bold statement. The last time the Bills had, I think it was 3 dudes with 10+ sacks. It was Mario Williams, Jerry Hughes, and was it
Kyle.
Marcel Darius and Kyle Williams?
Kyle,
Williams,
it was
right?
either Kyle or Marcel. It was one of the
yeah, or maybe it was all 4 even. I don't know. That was an insane year. I think it was
line.
Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz was our D coordinator then. Now he's the D coordinator of the Browns. Freaking wild, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, I want to talk about this, and I totally meant to mention. So earlier today, Mike and I were in a group chat with 2 other guys from our channel, and those 2 other dudes are actually huge Ravens fans. And there's been some rumors circulating. So Scott obviously saying that he's very encouraged by Boogie Basham and how good he's looked. But there's now a rumor circulating that the Ravens are interested in potentially trading for him and swapping Devin Duvernay for Boogie Basham, which would be insane. And I'm not sure how true this even is. I'm not even really sure where they got it from, where their source was, but they sent us a little clip of this. And I mean, I love Boogie Basham, but shoot, you get a guy like Devin Duvernay, who's a Pro Bowl returner. And I mean, speed wise, he can offer a little bit on offense. I'm not totally against that, but definitely an interesting rumor. Not sure if you heard of anything like that, Justus.
I have not, but
yeah, I didn't either. I'm not even sure where they got it, but
I would definitely be down for that.
Yeah,
I was really upset when we went back-to-back DEs. I felt like the Gregory Rousseau pick I could understand because he was supposed to be a top 10 pick the following season if he would have played.
Right.
Theoretically, he would have been the top 10 pick. So you get him at 30. All right. Okay, fine. I get it. I understand. Same idea with Ed Oliver, who's supposed to be the number 1 pick. Slid down. You get him at 9. All right, cool. I'm all for it. Then I looked at Boogie Basham, and I went to go look at his college film, and it ticked me off a little bit because it was like this guy is not winning any of his reps. He is working harder than the offensive lineman, which you get credit for sure. And, you get drafted for. I don't think you get drafted in the second round by a championship caliber team for that. I think that there was minimal just, I'm across from you, I'm better than you, and I'm going to get past you by one means or another. There was, like every time he spun, like the person, he just stayed in place basically. He couldn't really speed around anybody, and he couldn't really bull rush anybody. So I was upset with the pick. The more I've seen him, the more I've been encouraged, I will say. But I've never really been on board with Boogie Basham. So I have to be honest. So, of course, I'm rooting for anybody in the red, white, and blue, right?
For sure.
So, I would like to see Devin Duvernay in the red, white, and blue. And if you want to take Boogie Basham for him, I would have no problem with that.
I would love that. Yeah, I'm here for it. And obviously, it's encouraging hearing that he's doing well in camp and whatnot. And I think John Robert, obviously mentions here too that they're using him at D tackle. That was the one big thing I think coming into the draft with him was just his versatility. The fact that he played literally everywhere on the D line. And the Bills love that. They love that for both types of lines, offensive line and defensive line. If you can play multiple positions, why not? You're a football player. If you want to play for the Buffalo Bills, you have to be a football player. And then special teams wise, blocked field goals, made some plays there. So there's been some good things, obviously, but I just think it's all up and down for him. There's a lot of consistency for maybe a game or two, and then after that, he's just non-existent for a few games. So I don't know, man. I think when you look at the amount of depth that we do have, too, I mean, you talk about Shane Ray coming up and playing really well in practice, too. And obviously, AJ Epinesa putting on some weight. And we have Leonard Floyd now. And, we have so many dudes on this D line. I mean, one of these guys is bound not to make the roster. So if you're going to get rid of someone, I think the guy you're going to get rid of most likely will have some trade value. So if it is Boogie Basham, shoot, Devin Duvernay. I mean, Nyheim Hines is out for the year. We could probably use a guy. I know we just signed Andy Isabella, and we have a couple other guys that have been taking reps, returning punts and whatnot. And Darrington Evans, we signed him too. But Devin Duvernay is proven there, man, and he is electric. And the fact that you can use him as a deep threat on offense too. I mean, there's so many things you can do there.
Right.
Hey, runs
and I like Deontay Hardy as an offensive guy, right? Do I think he will be explosive in special teams? Absolutely. But I would like for him not to have to be. You know what I mean? Because
I agree.
I would like him to be reserved for offense because I do think he's going to be a threat in this offense, especially from what I've been hearing from camp. And me and my guy Jake Jordan, we do a Madden cast where we basically take the regular season that once the schedule is given out, we go every game, we play the Bills versus the team, simulate it, and we just call the game like the announcers were like, Jim Nantz.
I love that.
Right. Deontay Hardy has been going crazy, okay? He has been absolutely torching defenses, and it's just like made me root for him even more in real life. So I would like to see him be a little bit of a focal point on offense, and if you have a Devin Duvernay who can take over major special team roles, I feel like that, lends to him being more productive, from the wide receiver position.
Agreed. And we paid him so much. I mean, we paid him almost $8 million a year it's going to be. So I feel like for that amount of money, you're not paying a guy just to I mean, unless you're Devin Hester, you're not paying a guy that much money to do that, So you need to be out there on the offensive side of the football making plays. And I think there's definitely a spot for him there. So I'm with you on that one. I love it.
Yeah, so Chris is it came from Everyday Ravens with a source from BVM Sports and Baltimore Beatdown. Chris is not that type of guy to just throw out stuff there that he doesn't think has some validity to it, some traction. And there's been a lot of sprinkling conversations about either Epinesa or Boogie possibly being traded. So it wouldn't surprise me that there are some trade talks. It does surprise me because our wide receiver room is so full right now. It's interesting. Like if we were to bring over Duvernay, I mean, now all of a sudden somebody's got to be cut, or they're not going to make that active 53-man roster. So that's an interesting thing. Let's just hypothetically say that happens, Jake, and Duvernay comes over. I mean, who now is now? We had already kind of given our 53-man roster projection, but who do you think now in that wide receiver room is a possible cut? Like,
I don't think there's really going to be. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you keep 7? Do you keep 7 then?
Right.
I don't know.
We think they were going to keep 6, right? Initially,
right.
But now all of a sudden you bring him in. Something's got to give. So it'd be interesting.
All right. So,
Justus, go ahead.
No, you're fine. All right. So your wide receivers, you have Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Dalton Kincaid. I'm sorry. Justin Shorter, Khalil Shakir, Trent Sherfield, and I will tell you, Trent Sherfield is listed as our starting slot receiver, not Khalil Shakir. Keyshawn Johnson, Desmond Patman, Isaiah Coulter, sorry, and some other guys.
Tyrell Shavers. How about Tyrell Shavers, baby? Give him some love. Made a phenomenal catch the other day.
Brian Thompson, Andy Isabella, Richard Garage. I thought he was a lineman.
Richard Garage.
Oh, yeah, he's a lineman. He's a tackle.
He's a lineman. Okay. Sorry about that. And then Marcel Aitman. I think if Devin Duvernay comes in, he's immediately, I want to say he's somewhere between being ahead of Sherfield and being probably just behind Shakir. He's somewhere in that range. And I feel like he still would make the roster if we were to trade. And also, what's encouraging about what the rumor that you brought up, Mike, is that it's coming out of Baltimore, right? It's not
Yeah,
like some
exactly.
Bills fans, like, oh, let's go get Devin Drew, right? It's
Mhm.
like, we want Boogie Basham. Okay, I guess, So I'm okay with that.
You know how many
Justice,
rumors are started here in
yeah,
Buffalo too, just throwing
Yeah.
out random names and trade. I mean, it is. I feel like Buffalo is the
I
haven
got
for
in
that, right?
trouble. I got in trouble for that. This is when I knew I couldn't joke on Twitter anymore, right? I was at work, and this was this past off season, like when the season ended and like free agents became like available to be traded or whatever. And
Yeah.
somebody at work, just random dude at work, told me he's like, I heard that we're going to be trading for Cooper Cup. And I was like, what? Really?
Ooh.
And so, people hear rumors and they talk about it. So I just assumed that he heard this from somewhere and that he was telling me about it because, I work for, Bills Mafia. And so I tweeted it out. I was like, am I hearing Cooper Cup to the Bills? 1,000 likes. Are you serious, Justice? Justice, where'd you hear this from? Who's your source? I was like, no, that's not what I'm doing.
Freaking love it, man. Let's go. You could start a lot. I mean, you got a nice following there too, I mean,
I was so scared.
yeah.
I was like, please, God, don't let me get like on like what do you call it? Old takes exposed. I
Oh
thought,
yeah.
yeah, I was like, please don't let it happen.
Well, I gotta bring up one tweet because I saw it your pinned tweet, and it's Steve Tasker saying Justice may be correct on this one. What is the background story on that, if you don't mind me asking?
What was the background story on that? He asked about a group of quarterbacks. I think he said all the drought quarterbacks that could be coached in this era with like the same exact situation that Josh started out with, who would have been like the most successful of all the drought quarterbacks. And I believe he asked for a group, but I can't remember all the specific members. But I ended up saying Cardell Jones because he was huge. He had a rocket launcher attached to his shoulder. He was mobile, athletic. He had a good. He went to Ohio State, so he had to be some type of knowing his, know what he's doing, right?
For sure.
And then he went out, and I believe he won a national championship, didn't he? Or
sure did. His only year as a starter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I said Cardell Jones just because of the intangibles and the sheer size that he had. He actually reminds me the most of Josh Allen of all of our draft drought quarterbacks. And
why don't you say wait, not Drew Bledsoe? Drew Bledsoe's fast as hell though, man.
Yeah, I'm jumping over people and everything. No, but Steve Tasker was like, I agree with him. Justice may be right. And it's like, there's no way this just happened.
that is awesome.
That's awesome, man.
I did what, since
cool.
we're talking about wide receivers, I want to have a follow-up question because on our Wednesday show, I brought up the fact that no one's talking about Shakir. Why are they sleeping on this young man? And we actually I took the 10 minutes that we talked about him, and it got a lot of interest from people. And Justice, what's your thoughts? Why are people not talking about him? What's going on with Shakir? This guy, I mean, he didn't get a lot of play time last year. Towards the end of the season, he really started to shine a little bit when he did. But why is he being overlooked this year? What's your thoughts there?
I've actually seen the opposite reaction. I've seen a lot of people super excited about him. I will say though, unfortunately, I am one of those people who I'm not super high on Coach Shakir. And it's not for any particular reason other than he just doesn't catch the ball cleanly, and that scares the hell out of me. When there was a one game where Josh threw it to him, it was like 35 yards on the field, and he dropped it. And I was like, oh my God. I was already mad at Gabe, for because he dropped something or whatever the case may be. And then, so I just had residual anger for Khalil Shakir after he did it.
Yeah.
And then he ended up redeeming himself because that same game he caught another deep ball, but he bobbled it. And that just made me uncomfortable. And so I was just like, I would like to see him catch the ball more cleanly. I think that should be a point of emphasis for the Bills receiving core this offseason. But he has everything you need to do. If you watch his clips from Boise State, man, he's ridiculous. It's crazy. The the talent that he has, his ability to go up and high point the ball and to come down with it, especially being as small as he is incredible. I would like to see that translate to this stage now. So once I begin to see Boise State Khalil Shakir, I'll be all in. But I just haven't really seen that personally. So that would be my best guess as to why, if people aren't really feeling that highly of him, I would say that that's my best guess as to why.
Yeah, so we have two people. One is went to Boise State and graduated from there. Jackson Jake from who's been on our show a few times, and then also Tony, who's part of our channel, and they both loved him. Jackson was at every game in Shakir's last year and said, "My goodness, this dude's phenomenal." Now the knock on him was he'll make those acrobatic catches. He'll go up, he'll make those amazing catches, but he loses concentration sometimes on those easier catches that you were talking about, Justin.
It's almost like Dawson Knox, like
a little bit,
from a couple years
Davis.
ago.
Yeah,
and Gabe Davis. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I also want to say that people, when you said he was a little small, he's 6 foot. Now maybe that's on a good day. He's
really?
wearing some cleats. He's 6 feet tall. He's almost
so
200 pounds. And he runs like a 4.43. He's one of our fastest receivers. Do I have those facts straight, Jake? I mean, I think I looked it up.
No, you're right. Lateral quickness, though, I think we posted a short about it. It was perfect. Mike cut it up just right. He's doing the ladder and everything. It's me talking about his lateral quickness. I think that's the most impressive thing you see, and that's why I think he's really good in the slot position, just because no linebacker or nickel corner is going to be able to move with him with how he runs his routes. It's in some ways at times it is Cole Beasley-esque, and I think Cole Beasley he literally was an artist in space with how he worked. So, if he could be even a shell of what that is, then I'll be pretty fired up about it. But yeah, I agree. I think obviously you want to see the Khalil Shakir from Boise State come out, and it sounds like he's having a pretty good camp. But yeah, where does he kind of land? And that's a good question for you too, Justice. Like, who do you think is going to be the day one starting slot receiver, or do you think it's really just going to be a committee approach?
I do think it's going to be a committee approach to a degree. I think you're always going to have your Stephon Diggs, your Gabriel Davis on the field. I do think we are going to see Dalton Kincaid and a lot of wide receiver concepts, to be quite honest with you. So that's when I say Dalton Kincaid, I'm like halfway joking. But I think you'll see a lot of Shakir, Sherfield, Hardy, and my black sheep, my guy who I think is like a sleeper pick is Justin Shorter.
Oh, yeah.
I think that if Justin Shorter is just molded by the right people, he's going to be a problem. And you get on the field and you watch Stephon Diggs do his thing, you're gonna learn something. And he's physically gifted, so if he can learn something and he can take that, he could be a Antonio Brown type of player, as in the sense of he wasn't really thought of highly coming out of college, at least not on the NFL level. Like his college may have known that he was like really good, but like none of us really respected him like that until he showed it to us. And then, Antonio Brown just went off and went crazy, and then literally went crazy. But I think Shorter could be that if he works hard. Like he has the talent to make some really big plays. So I think you're going to see that Sherfield, Shakir, and Hardy in that type of rotation. So to answer your question, starting slot, I think you're going to see Dalton Kincaid there more than anybody, to be honest. And then maybe even some Stephon Diggs in the slot, because you have Kincaid who can play outside. You have Shorter who can play outside. You have Sherfield who can play outside now. We didn't really have too many guys who could play outside previous to this year. Now we have an abundance of guys who could, fit that role. So, and Davis even can play in the slot sometimes. But I think as far as who's going to be your starting slot guy, I'm going to say Deontay Hardy right now, but Trent Sherfield is also 6'2" and runs like a 3-4.
3-4.
So, no, not a 3-4.
He's starting day one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I always said, too, like when we drafted Dalton Kincaid and obviously watching tape on him and stuff, man, we might not even see him put his hand in the ground. He might just be strictly in a receiver stance at all times, or, like a little 2-point stance as an H-back or whatever it may be. I don't know, man. I mean, the athleticism is just so appealing. You were giving me butterflies just talking about that, moving Steph in the slot, Dalton Kincaid outside. You could do so many things. I mean, if Ken Dorsey doesn't succeed this year, wow, I don't know what to tell you, because there's just so many weapons to go around.
You know what else I noticed? I don't know if you guys seen the clip of James Cook running and getting like a 50, 60-yard rush or whatever.
Yep.
Dawson Knox had his hand in the dirt. Quentin Morris had his hand in the dirt, but you know who didn't have his hand in the dirt? Number 86 was going in motion across the line.
Love that.
And lined up at the end of it. So I agree with you. I don't think he's really going to be, on the end of the line like that, to be honest.
And all of our tight ends are athletic. I mean, really, Quentin Morris, too. I mean, I liked what I saw from him, too. And not just because, listen, I am biased with MAC school players. He's a Bowling Green guy, so of course I love him. But I really do think that he could play in this league. And right now, of course, he's going to be the third guy just because we got these other two dudes. And then don't forget, we signed another kid, too. Former third-round pick. My gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, I know he's talking
from the Packers, Jace.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm thinking Jason Morrow from a few years ago. What am I? Texas A&M kid. Sternberger. Jace Sternberger.
Yeah. And Reggie Gilliam, a former tight end as well, is also very athletic.
Don't even get me started on Reggie Gilliam. That's my favorite player on this team. I have a jersey of him. I rep it every Sunday.
That's right.
That is my boy. Yes, and he's not going to be a cut. I know a lot of people are saying maybe a surprise cut, Reggie. No chance. Every time that guy's on the field, something good happens. Come on now.
I want to say, I mean, first of all, it wouldn't surprise any of us, Justus, if the Bills first they come out on that field in 12 personnel, and in that slot is Kincaid. So I think you're absolutely right there. It wouldn't surprise any of us if that was the first time we saw someone in the slot was Kincaid. I do want to say, hey, I hope you're enjoying the 50-cent wings and the dollar beers. We got a little more time left for the dollar beers. Make sure you tip your bartender and staff tonight by hitting that like button and dropping a nickel on that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. I think we need to jump a little bit all over the place tonight because the channel is asking a lot of good questions, and I don't want to forget these questions. So I know we probably had a particular order we were thinking, but let's go back to Linda's question a little earlier. She asked, do you think we've done enough to fortify our O-line? And we'll come back to Sean's question in there because I saw that one as well. You think we've done enough to fortify our O-line? We need to protect Josh. And Justus, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, Jake and I, so we'll throw it to you for your opinion on this question here.
Well, I feel like we don't know yet. That's kind of yet to be seen, right? It's like TBD. I think that they are going about it the right way this offseason, though. I think they have like 13 offensive linemen on their roster right now or something crazy, some crazy number like that. And I think that there's a point to that, right? I think that we have taken our offensive linemen and kind of being like, all right, well, 17 is a Martian, and we don't really need to invest too much into the offensive line because he's just gonna do whatever he wants to do. He's gonna throw your defensive tackle into the dirt, run past your defensive end, and then just throw a laser past your safety. So I don't think it was too much of an emphasis, right? Until nothing's a problem until it's a problem. And this offseason, I think that they are trying to basically sharpen iron with iron and just get the doggiest dogs and the guys who are offended when 17's jersey is dirty. And I think that they're going to put those guys out in front of them. And I'm not mad at our prospective offensive line right now. Deion Dawkins, Connor McGovern, Mitchell Morris, Osiris Torrance. The right tackle position is the only thing I'm slightly concerned about. Spencer Brown is massive. And Jake, I'm a massive guy. So I can point out a massive guy. That's a massive guy.
Hell yeah.
And I would like to see.
Can you play right tackle right now? You think you suit up, get out there?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I think I could.
Let's go.
If nothing else, I can stand there and you got to deal with me. You know what I mean? Like you got to get around me. You know what I mean? You're not going to run through me. You got to get around me. But
That's right.
I would like to see, if I'm being honest, I would like to see that right tackle be battled for. You know, by whoever. Osiris Torrance, he said he's willing to play tackle. I would rather just plug him in that right guard. But, you know, you have to do what you have to do. I would like to see Ryan Bates out there, you know, trying to take just anything to tell Spencer, like, nothing is promised to you. Like, we need you to be better. And again, he's not having a very good season in our Madden cast. So,
dude, where can we find the Madden cast? Is it what you guys got a channel out there for it, or what do you?
Yeah. Well, Buffalo fan base.
Buffalo it's right on the fan base channel. Okay, cool.
FAM base. Yes.
Got it.
Go ahead, and we do it every week. We'll probably do one live tomorrow, I would guess, because we didn't do one for this week yet. So who's after the Jaguars? I forget off the top of my head.
Now, is this on the beta version of Madden 24, or you doing Madden 23? Updated rosters?
Last year was our first year. We did 22. And once 23 came out, we switched over to 23. So this year we're doing 23, and then when 24 comes out, we'll switch over.
Well, speaking of, we are doing a little giveaway. We haven't talked about it in a little bit, but we are going to be doing a Madden giveaway. So maybe, you know, Justus, you can get in on this contest.
I'm with it.
Two.
Giving away two copies.
Okay.
That's correct.
2 copies. So
are they hardcover?
Yes.
Oh, we haven't decided that. Oh, there. Yes. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have a digital only Xbox, so I'm upset because now I have to.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like actual physical copy.
If you won Justice and that's what you wanted, we can obviously.
No. I have to get the hardcover because Josh.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, absolutely.
Regardless, you know.
I was always a big proponent of hardcover. Anyways, I just like seeing it on the shelf. I'm really like I'm such a display whore. Honestly, I am. I'm super Polish too, so I have knickknacks everywhere.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Hey, Justice, I have to ask you this because you mentioned both their names. Who do you think is day one starter at that right guard position? Do you think it's Torrance or do you think it's Bates?
It's Torrance.
Okay.
It's
gotta be.
Right. We said Spencer Brown is massive. I would say Torrance is even more bigger. Like Torrance is just he's just like an oversized anchor, like sitting there. Like when you watch his film in college, like you'll get a little bit of a chubby. Okay, he's incredible.
Oh no, I did. Oh yeah.
No, because it's like nobody can get through him, right? Maybe you'll get lucky and get around him, but it won't be in time before the quarterback gets the ball off, right? He went head to head with the guy who just got drafted by the Eagles this year, first round, Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Oh yeah,
best player in the draft by far. Of course, he has some off the field issues that impacted his draft pick position, but he went head to head with Jalen Carter. Maybe lost 5 reps, definitely lost 4 reps. But in a game where you get 50, 60 reps on offense, to lose 4 to 5 reps with a kid who's going to come in and be better than most defensive tackles in the NFL already, he's fixed in. Now, I know he's a rookie. You got to give him time, and Sean McDermott doesn't like to give anything to anybody. Like, he sat Josh Allen for Nate Peterman, for God's sakes. So, like, of course, I know he has to earn it, but he's the guy there.
Okay.
I think there's something to be said, too. He played in college with Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was a quarterback last year, which obviously Anthony Richardson's a rookie quarterback this year. He's not Josh Allen, but similar play style, I guess, if you will, right? So I think there's something to be said about that, too. So he's used to playing with a bigger rocket arm, athletic specimen of a quarterback. So I think that can only help the situation.
I feel like he's exactly what Josh Allen was as a rookie.
Yeah.
Just pure raw talent. And
right.
Like, it just hasn't been molded yet. And so we'll see what happens there. Chris Ballard is a great team builder. They've already got an all-time great offensive lineman in Quentin Nelson, who, if they can fortify that line again, you have maybe the best back in the league in Jonathan Taylor. I know he wants to demand a trade, but you don't let him go.
You can't.
You got Pittman and Pierce, and Colts got something special. So I've been hearing a lot of good things out of camp about Anthony Richardson. I'm petrified. I got to admit, I'm so mad that there's a potential another super team in the AFC in 3 to 4 years, but it is what it is.
All right, well, let's get to this question from Sean, Jake.
Yeah, so he's saying, is anyone concerned if, God forbid, Dalton Kincaid misses some time? Because we're very heavily dependent on him, as Justice has pointed out too. I think he's going to serve a big purpose in this offense. So we lose him, you're basically back to a similar situation that you had last year in some ways, right? I mean, the biggest goal, I think, this year was to get Josh Allen not only an offensive line and more protection, but to get him another weapon that can help really change the game and not just be an average dude who can make a play here and there. You want a guy that's going to be a game changer, and I think that's what Dalton Kincaid can be, essentially being a 6'4", 240-pound slot receiver and outside receiver at times. So I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I have an answer for you, Sean. I mean, I really don't know.
So for me, I think it's a good problem to have, right? Because like Jake mentioned, he is literally he's just a huge slot receiver. All right.
Yeah.
2 drops in college. 2 drops.
No, it's
all right.
Yeah.
He had a 50+% contested catch rate. 0 fumbles. What's the one thing that plagues the Bills more than anything? Just stupidity in terms of turnovers. Just absolutely unnecessary, unforced errors. He doesn't have unnecessary, unforced errors. So I hope that a rookie coming in, setting the tone in terms of, we're not going to drop passes. We're not going to let go of the ball. You know what I mean? And of course you got Stephon Diggs, who you can rely on. Gabriel Davis, who you can mostly rely on. Dawson Knox, who's become very reliable. I don't think that we'll be like just dead in the water if we lose Kincaid, but I do think he's like an overkill almost, because 17 is so great that he could take a group of mediocre receivers and make them look good. So he takes a guy like Stephon Diggs, who's great, and he makes them look all-time great. A guy like Gabriel Davis, who's good, and he makes them look great at times, right? I think that's what we're seeing with Dalton Kincaid. I do think he will be great, but he's making them look great already. And I think with Sherfield, I think he's going to be an underrated addition, as well as Hardy. I don't really think that we are going to be like if the Chiefs were without Travis Kelce type of deal. I don't think it's going to be that. But I also hope we don't get injured. You know what I mean? But I think we would be fine without him. But I think we'll be even better with him.
I love that. Yeah. What do the stats look like in the Madden cast right now with Dalton Kincaid?
So Madden is weird because Madden they'll play the TE1 mostly. They won't really,
They don't do other formations, basic stuff.
They're not going to anticipate like the TE2 being a productive part of the offense. So they really give him limited play. So he's probably got like a handful of catches for the season, maybe like 10,
it's a shame. ESPN NFL 2K5 would never. Just saying. It's the greatest. I will pound my chest. It's the greatest NFL video game of all time. If you have a chance, there is a website that they update with updated rosters every year still.
What?
And I think actually it's called 2K Unleashed. You could probably get it on PC or whatever. And you play it with like a simulator, PS2 simulator or whatever. It's sick, dude. Some people, they do like, it's all updated rosters. They do full seasons and everything like that. You can find it on YouTube. There's a big following with it because everyone's kind of getting sick of Madden just because it's like the same game every year. And I hope to God this year it changes because Josh is on the cover, of course. They already said they're bringing back the rushing attack mini game and some of the other cool like mini games from back in the day. So that's huge. But time will tell. We'll see. But
we'll see.
Darn, I was hoping to hear some big numbers there, but that makes sense.
Maybe a Madden.
Where do you want to go next, sir? We got so much still to talk about. I feel like we're only in like, 1/3 of what we wanted to get through.
Oh, but sorry.
Where do you want to go next?
I'm talking way too much.
No.
I wanted to talk
normal for us, Justice.
Oh yeah, this is where we go. It's just a conversation, just sitting around. Typically, I haven't done it in a while. I've been kind of sitting back and not drinking as much during the week. The weekend I make up for it. Obviously it's Sunday, so it's still the weekend. I guess I could have one or two. But I was going to ask you, Justice, like in terms of being a Bills fan, like how did it start? Tell me like the origin story. Tell me of like some of your favorite players of all time and really like your greatest moment as a Bills fan.
I have no clue how it started. All right. Ever since I've remembering, I've just been a diehard Bills fan. I remember me sitting in like this tweed chair as a baby in just like a full off Bills sweatsuit. You know, like the sweatsuits that were popular in the 90s,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
I was born in 95. So like I
Okay.
had the Bills sweatsuit as a baby, and I just remember, my dad just nailed it into my, like, you're a Bills fan. There's nothing else to it. You're a Bills fan. And I think I really like knew that I wanted to be like an analyzer of football. I remember this one play where Marshawn Lynch had the ball and he's running with the ball and somebody sticks their legs out and trips him and he falls to the ground. And I see it and I get up and I'm going crazy. I'm like, he just tripped him. Like, how did he? And my dad, like, nobody else in the room even saw it. And then he did the replay and of course he tripped him. It was like, that was a good eye, and I felt so proud. And I feel like that was when I was just like, I love football. I love analyzing football. And I love being a Bills fan.
Hell
And
yeah.
I was born in '95. The earliest memory I have, I kid you not, is the Music City Miracle. So like pure just depression for like the first essentially 20 years of my football experience and career, right? I was there. I started being a fan right after the glory days, all up until through the 17 years and everything else. And then in 2008, 17, I believe it was, when we broke the drought. I cried. I cried like everybody else did. I was living in Tampa at the time. I'm sitting in the car, just misty eyed and everything. It just felt really good to be there. We should have won the game against the Texans, but it's neither here nor there. I was glad that we were able to get that monkey off our back. And then the ascension of Josh Allen happened, and the rest is history.
I love it, man. Yeah, I was born in '93, so I too kind of missed the boat. We got the short end of the stick.
Basically,
Mike lived through some serious misery, and I told him, I tell him all the time, like, I have no idea. Like, I feel like I would have to go to so much therapy to just live through those 4 straight Super Bowl losses,
See, the way I see it is only one team will win the Super Bowl every year, right? So if your team has never won a Super Bowl, then you've had umpteen or however many years you've been in of disappointment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if your team is great, and I don't mean good, I mean great. The K-Gun was great, okay? I've heard stories. I've gone and I've watched them. Like, they were amazing, all right? They were blowing people out. Like, you got to see that week by week. You got to see, Kelly and Thurman Thomas just running through people and, Andre Reed. And, you got to see all these. You got to watch Bruce Smith. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take anything away from that because I feel like that's still amazing, right? Like, we haven't seen the Bills win a chip yet, but we get to see 17 and 14 and you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's still amazing. It's much better than watching Dad Lewis. No offense to Dad Lewis. I feel like he was one of the best drop quarterbacks.
Love that.
I do love Dad Lewis. It's not like we don't have to watch Jeff Toole anymore. You know what I mean? Or Trent Edwards and JP Lawson. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like being a good team and getting to have that, those endorphins released every single week when you beat another team or blow teams out or you beat a rival or you beat the former Super Bowl champion, whatever. I feel like that is better than like being a Browns fan where you just like live in misery. You know what I mean? So
For sure.
I have like a slightly different opinion on that. You know what I mean?
I love that. No, I think there was, I want to say it was Matt Perino or some other Bills podcast talking about he hasn't had as much joy watching the Bills as he has over the last 4 seasons. And I can't agree more. I mean, shoot, for the majority of my lifetime, the biggest and most fun part about the Bills growing up was watching the content on the side of the game, basically like outside of the game, with hanging 10 with Hamden, Gabron Hamden. He was our former quarterback back in like 2007, 2008. That was the most entertaining thing about the Bills back then, because we knew they were going to go 4-12, 5-10, or 5-11, 6-10. We weren't expecting a playoff berth. Now we have the expectation. It's fun to watch this team. We have a Martian at quarterback, as you put it, Justice. I couldn't agree more. And it's just fun, man. Like the endorphins that are released, just the energy that this team brings me through wins, through losses. I get it, but yeah, I can imagine it was probably somewhat similar back in the day too, Mike, with that 90s team. You got to appreciate the greatness, and of course, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but shoot, you go back to those 4 years, it'll never happen again. I mean, even with the introduction of free agency, that team stuck together. It's an absolutely incredible story.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, it is heartbreaking. I mean, when you have 4 shots at getting that final, the trophy, you work hard all year, and that team, again, it'll always be that first Super Bowl. That team, the Giants had no business beating them, no business being in that game. So that one hurts the most. But yeah, you appreciate those teams. I loved it. And, I've been through the 70s when Bills weren't very good as well. We might have had one playoff run in the 70s, and then in the 80s when we broke the streak, the 20-game losing streak to the Dolphins. And so I've been through some tough times, but then when you get to those starting in 89, when we start, rising and, going through those Super Bowls, going through the Music City Miracle, all good stuff, but heartbreaking for sure as well. I do want to say, so I have a couple notes, and then we'll go over to back to you guys. So I just want to say, I've been listening to the folks that are on the ground there at the camp sessions. Cam Lewis continues to get good press. He was dinged up today. I want to say that. He was dinged up today. He went up for a pass, came down hard, and there's been no one's kind of put out there what actually happened to him, how bad it is. But he was a little dinged up, but he's been doing super well. I know Cam Lewis, he's one of my guys. I feel like people have been too hard on him for that Jefferson play that didn't happen. And there were many other reasons why the Bills lost that game, not just him not swatting that ball away. And it was Jefferson making an amazing catch as well. If you look back at that, it's like, holy crap.
Oh, insane.
That was incredible. So he's, I think he's a lock for the 53-man roster. Cornerback, too, is interesting. I heard news today when everyone thought Benford was out of the picture. He was getting reps with the number 1 again today, and apparently he had 2 interceptions. Again, they had no pads on today, just to put that into context. But it feels like that's wide open again for Kyer, Dane Jackson, and Benford. And this is something we've been talking about for a while. Last week we reported that it seemed to be down to Elam and Dane, but now it's open to all 3 of them again, which is a good problem to have. I mean, if all 3 of these can be starters, that depth piece is fantastic. So we've kind of talked about that a lot, but I do want to, something that's concerning me coming out of camp is our backup quarterbacks are not looking good. I mean, if you see any video, Barkley or Allen throwing the ball, Jake, I feel you could get out there and throw a better pass. So
I don't think so.
I don't know. Are you guys concerned?
Let's not get crazy here.
Are you guys concerned? We've been fortunate. Josh Allen's been able to stay healthy and start for us, but these guys, man, they're concerning me. Any concerns for you, Jake, when it comes to Kyle Allen and Barkley?
I don't think so. Obviously we kind of lean on Josh Allen just being the most durable human being of all time, and even when he is injured, he'll still play through it. So maybe we're a little spoiled in that sense. God forbid a season-ending injury happens. It's going to be Kyle Allen at the number 2 quarterback spot. He started games in this league before. He started 2, I think, last year with the Texans. He had a multitude of starts with the Panthers a few years back. He actually did okay. He can get the job done. He is not Josh Allen. No one is Josh Allen. So let's just get that out of our heads. If for whatever reason he's injured, like obviously I think the first thought is our season is doomed. I think this team can still maybe pull together a few wins, but no, let's just pray that no one gets hurt. Yeah.
But there's some other guys out there on the market that they could go after and pick up if it ever happened. But I just wanted to ask you that question. And then the only last thing I have before I throw it back to you is the middle linebacker, which has been a battle. Again, Bernard and Dotson are the front runners there. Dorian Williams backing up Milano. And Spector not part of the middle linebacker race seemingly right now, but hey, we're about to go into preseason games and anything can change, anything can happen. So Jake, that's kind of the notes I have, and I had some questions for you guys, but I'm going to throw it to you and Justice if there's anything else you want to talk about before
I want to talk
ask
about
you
Dorian
guys some
Williams.
questions. Okay,
can I say something about the backup quarterback real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I will say that yeah, if Josh Allen gets injured, it's over, right? But if Josh Allen gets injured, Ken Dorsey will be forced to do his job.
That's true.
So that'll be interesting to see what he actually does with that. Like, because in reference to the play calling that is there for Josh toward the back half of the season, if you give that to really any other quarterback in the league, not named Mahomes, like you fail miserably. So it would be interesting to see what Ken Dorsey would have to do with Kyle Allen as his, because you still have this tremendous roster.
Yep.
And theoretically, you still should be able to do something significant, like at least be top 3 in your division. And I just don't know if they would. And I think that it would really expose a lot of people. But I'm sorry, Jake. Go ahead and continue.
No, that's well put, man. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love the fact that you pointed out it will force Ken Dorsey to do his job. I think he does probably understand how blessed he is to have Josh Allen at quarterback. Makes his job so much easier, and that's why I think people basically hold him to the standard that, like, this is do or die this year, especially because now we've given him some more weapons. We've given him a better offensive line. So if we don't produce this year and the offense doesn't look good, people are going to be calling for his head real early. So this is do or die. Scott saying he's an Allen and maybe that will be enough. Yeah, that's a good point, Scott. You never know. Hey, Matt Barkley did come in and weather the storm pretty well a few years back, if you don't remember. I mean, it was, I think, Josh Allen's rookie year, I want to say it was, when he was injured. Matt Barkley had to come in. He had that game against the Jets. Went off. Game? Yeah. Who was our one receiver?
Kelvin Benjamin.
We did have Kelvin Benjamin. I'm thinking of someone else, though. Zay Jones. Nope, it wasn't even him. Nope, it wasn't him either. It was number 16. I'm drawing a blank here. I gotta look this up because it's gonna kill me if I don't find this out. 2018 Bills. I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I can look that up for you. Talk to us about Dorian Williams, and I'll find that up for you.
Yeah. Well, first, I think Robert Foster. Robert Foster, guys. My God. Really, Robert Foster. He had a great game against the Jets. I remember that. And man, he was a good deep. He had like 500 something yards. I think. Yeah. I loved Robert Foster, man. So good times there. But yes, getting to our boy Justice Dorian Williams. A lot of disrespect, I feel like, right now towards Dorian Williams, and I think Brandon Beane is doing his job by keeping things under wraps and not really saying a whole lot. Saying he's going to learn behind Matt Milano, learn the will linebacker position a little bit. Maybe he's not necessarily a middle linebacker to start. But gosh, he's just too good of a football player, I feel like, to not be on the field. Would you agree with that? I mean, this is sort of how we bonded. So let's speak up for our boy a little bit here.
Yeah, so I think that the one tremendous thing about Brandon Beane is that he fights crime at night. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he lives in a cave. All right. And he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
Batman. Okay. He has a contingency.
You see his house on Zillow, by the way? Wow.
It looks like the Wayne Manor, right? No, but he has a contingency plan for everything. Okay. Even last year, he had a contingency plan for everything, and somehow his coaches still screwed it up. He was like, this year, I'm giving you guys no excuses, okay? And so I feel like Dorian Williams is a case where I'm so glad because he's a rookie, right? Like, we don't even have to expect anything out of him this year. We can really just redshirt him if we really wanted to. Like, true. Isaiah Hodgins reminds me a lot of the predicament that Dorian Williams is in, right? Because we could either take this tremendous talent, hone it, and then use it productively. Or we could keep Jake Kumaro on the roster and let him go for nothing. Right. So I think that Dorian Williams is going. He's a rookie, right? He didn't play in like a Power 12, nothing like not Power 5 school. Excuse me. He has to come in and learn emotions, right? He has to learn how to be an NFL football player. Like you get out there and you see Christian McCaffrey, like that's not normal stuff. You know what I mean? You see Aaron Rodgers, it's not normal, right? This is maybe the most talented quarterback that's ever stepped foot on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just throw him to the wolves. Even Patrick Mahomes, he didn't know how to, read the Mike linebacker when he first came into the league, whatever, but he still has a raw talent where, if you told him exactly what to do and it's there for it to be done, he can get it done, right? But being a middle linebacker, you have to notice things. You have to play chess. You have to be able to see 2-3 moves ahead, right? And that takes time. So I'm not too worried about it. He's still a tremendous talent. This is his rookie season, and we have yet to see him in the preseason because once he takes somebody's helmet off, everything changes. Everything changes.
Amen.
When the first helmet goes flying. That's all I'm saying.
Hell yeah. I'm going to run through a wall right now, Justice. I freaking love it, brother. Let's go. Okay. Yeah. This is interesting, too, Scott, bringing this up here. Saying they had Terrell Bernard out there alone as the only linebacker last practice. What's up with that? Very interesting. Must be I wonder what the personnel was in general, like who was actually out on the field. So
I've heard Taylor Rapp is playing a lot of subs.
Okay, I can see that. That makes sense. Yep. And that is another. Okay, I love that actually. That's so exciting to me. The fact Taylor Rapp, first off, signing here. It was the last thing I ever expected because he's a dog. I mean, he's a legit player, man. He's a good football player, and I feel like we got a bargain deal with him. And you talk about eventually replacing Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde in the future. That might be our piece right there, and he's going to get on the field. I think we're going to see all three of them on the field a whole lot this year, anyways. But so exciting, man! It's awesome.
I agree.
Justice, where did you want to go? Do you want to talk about anything specific that we haven't covered already?
So I was actually gonna shut my mouth because I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm just self-conscious.
Oh, no, we need more.
So you mentioned like the succession plan to your Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer because of course best tag team duo in the league, right? Just veterans in every sense of the word, all pros, both of them, even in their later stages of their careers. Both coming off of significant injuries. I feel like we might be seeing our last season with them together here. Mm-hmm. And I feel like within the next 2 years, they'll both be gone, unfortunately. Taylor Rapp, bringing him into the system to have them kind of, you know what I mean? Like, show them how the sauce is made a little bit. And him, them teaching him the ways of the McDermott defense, right? Nothing over the top. I don't care what you take underneath, nothing over the top. And then once you get into the 35 N-word, where it just shuts you down, right? And I think the other missing component is a guy Mike mentioned earlier who has been battling it out at the quarterback position is Christian Benford. Now, if you have a safety who can be a starting cornerback on a championship caliber team, that's crazy, right? I mean, that's nuts. You don't see that. That's like Troy Polamalu stuff, right? So if Christian Benford could, maybe, learn the ropes a little bit here, not too much. You don't want to, just throw him to the wolves or anything, but, have him back there. Sometimes and give him a few reps to just understand what the defense is all about. I think that Taylor Rapp and Christian Benford, on top of having Kyer Elam, Tre'Davious White / Dane Jackson, like, I don't know, man, that safety could be one for the ages, man. The secondary.
For sure. I feel like the Bills, that's something to be, I guess it may have been overlooked. Like even during the drought period, I think the Bills have always had a pretty good secondary for the most part. I mean, you go back to even like I mean, yeah, the defense has always been pretty stout, but now it's like, I think it's a complete defense. I think really the only question mark you look at is maybe the middle linebacker position, like we just talked about, but everywhere else, we are gold. I mean, literal gold everywhere else. It's exciting, man. And like the future looks good too, like you said. So I'm really happy you mentioned that too. Like even Christian Benford eventually switching out. I mean, that's part of the reason we drafted him, man. He played safety in college. That was his main position. But the fact that he could be a starting corner and a starting safety, wow.
He's a hitter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, then you got, like I mentioned, Cam Lewis can play that as well. He was playing safety last year. He can play corner.
Damar Hamlin coming back.
Damar Hamlin.
Yeah,
so
right.
We're in a good spot, man, in that secondary for years to come. It feels like, even if we do, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we lose both of them next year, but I do agree with you, Justice. One of them, Poyer Hyde, may not return after this year. Well, hopefully not. I know we did sign Poyer for 2 years, and I'm not sure what kind of contract we still have left with Micah Hyde. I don't think this is his final year on the contract. I think I would have heard about that already.
I think he's got a couple of years left.
We might have to. We
might check on that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they were so dinged up, and we still don't know. I mean, when Micah Hyde takes that first hit coming off that herniated disc in his neck, you're always concerned about that stuff. But I think with Rapp and, like you just said, Hamlin and Benford, and oh my gosh, we're in a good spot, man. We're in a good place for sure. Let's see here, Justice. What else, man? Do you have anything else? Because then I have a couple questions, just random questions I'm gonna throw at you and Jake on certain things that don't even pertain to the Bills.
It is his last season, by the way.
Is it?
Like the Hyde, yeah. Season? And there's an opt out, yeah.
So it's a contract year, huh? All right, interesting.
Yeah. And Mafia Sports, thank you for joining us, man. Yeah, he says the same thing. Hyde's in his last season.
Guy Tommy in the building.
Yeah, Tommy.
Okay, let's go, Tommy.
Yeah. I feel like we touched on everything really except we even touched on running backs even a little bit, but I kind of want to get you guys' opinion of the Bills running situation, right? We talked about the offensive line and how I believe they're, kind of building like just the five dogs, right, out in front. And that attributes well to the run game as well as the pass game. James Cooks looks very good. We got Damian Harris, who cooked us last season, and now he comes to Buffalo to be a good guy. And who was the last one? Latavius Murray.
Murray, yeah.
We'll see, right? What's you guys' thoughts of the actual run game? Do you think it'll be more effective this year? Do you think they'll even try to be effective this year? And do you think that James Cook will be able to carry the load?
I am a believer in James Cook. I think he is 100% capable. He doesn't have as much mileage as most backs that are drafted as high as he does have, I guess, already at this point in his career, which is huge. I mean, you look at what Delvin's going through right now. He's been banged up. He gets banged up quite a bit, and I think that's the biggest difference between him and his brother is that obviously James Cook split some time in college, and he is a home run hitting back, which I guess he is similar to the fact that Delvin Cook is also that type of back too. But I think for him, the biggest question mark is really BPU, blitz pickup, because that's something that he really struggled with. So whether or not he's able to do that, that'll determine, the being on the field maybe 70% of the time to 75% of the time, or if it's more of a 55-45 approach with him and Damian Harris. You look at the Chiefs last year with Jerick McKinnon. Part of the reason why he got so much playing time towards the end of the year is because they struggled with the blitz pickup. And Orlando Brown, which we heard from quite a few Chiefs fans, they were not very happy with his play last year. So they needed a lot of help there. They needed someone else to kind of chip off the edge, even in passing situations where Jerick McKinnon would go do that, and then he would get out in the open or out in the flats or whatever, and they'd be able to throw him the ball. But I think that's definitely an area where James Cook needs to focus on. I think he can get it done in the pass game. He can absolutely get it done in the run game. I think he is fast enough to get to the outside. He can play in his own scheme. And shoot, man, if we use him the right way, there were flashes last year where it excited me quite a bit. Now, what Damian Harris brings to the table is basically a touchdown vulture mentality, a guy that can run in between the tackles, a guy that can get it done with the tough physical runs, which is exciting. And he was a Bills killer. I mean, that game, actually, that super windy game, he actually went off against us. He was like the only guy who had stats that game. So, yeah, I think if he can kind of repeat what he did in New England for us, that would be huge. I certainly expect to see him in during goal line situations, and maybe he's going to sprinkle in the offense quite a bit. I think at least 30 to 40% of the time. With Latavius Murray, I don't know what the story is there. I mean, he was a 700-yard back last year. He's also like 33 now, but dude can still get it done. And then there's another guy on our roster who I talked about with Mike a little bit, Jordan Mims, Fresno State, undrafted free agent rookie running back, might be the Raheem Blackshear this year. I said last year, so Justus, last year I was very high on Raheem Blackshear, and ends up going to Carolina, scores a couple touchdowns, does pretty decent. I think Jordan Mims could be that guy as well, so and then we signed Darrington Evans, who I think is going to be more of a special teams guy. He's going to be a return guy if he does make the team, but time will tell with that one. So my opinion, though, I think James Cook can handle it. I think the biggest area of concern is just blitz pickup, pass blocking situations, stuff like that.
Yeah, for me, I think Cook gets 60% of the snaps, Harris at 30%, and I think Murray's at 10%. I mean, I'm hearing yes, you mentioned that Murray's up there in age, but everything coming out of camp is like, this dude, he's so young and he's huge.
He's a pro's
pro,
man.
I saw somebody say that he was next to Josh Allen, and they were like, oh my God, this guy.
I think he's like 6'5". He's like 6 foot. Yeah,
he's huge. And
6'3", 230 without cleats, 6'5" probably with cleats, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
Give me that all day on 3rd and 1, right? But like you said, we didn't utilize Cook much in the passing game last year like we should have. You're going to see a lot of that. They've been utilizing that all through camp. And, I mean, in the blue and red game, did you see the play? The first play of the scrimmage? Yeah. I think he breaks off, over the left side. But, Justus, to your point, how can this running game not be better when you got Torrance, who can move mountains, and Spencer Brown on that right side, who also, that's his best. I mean, he's the best at run blocking right now. He might get there with pass blocking, but can you imagine those two guys? I'm running that way all the time, man. And I'm looking for big things there. So I do think it's up to Dorsey. Are they going to run a little bit more? They should. We always say that, but they don't. But they should. And with that right side of the line, if Torrance is there day one, I don't see how they can't. So that's my take on that.
This is well said by Scott, too. We talked about this when they drafted Osiris Torrance, whether they would be more of a power scheme, hat on a hat type of offense, but I don't know if I foresee that happening, especially with James Cook as the lead back. I think he fits better in the zone scheme. So I don't know. What do you think, Justus? Sorry, you were about to say something too.
Oh no, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
My bad.
No, I agree. I've been saying this for some years, honestly. I have been confused as to why they were trying to play so much finesse football. I really don't understand it. I feel like the power approach is the more effective one, is the more durable one, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you consider like the zone running and all that other stuff. I really like Devin Singletary. I was a huge Devin Singletary fan. I don't feel like he was given enough help, from the line, from the coaching, from the scheme, none of that, right? And I agree. Excuse me. I agree. You take a look at maybe the best overall quarterback that's ever played, in my opinion, Peyton Manning. He had a power running scheme. He had an offensive line that was just, they were disturbed. They were disturbed humans. Like, they were like firing out. They were coming for you and your children. They were coming, like, they were doing whatever they had to do to protect their team. I remember Jeff Saturday, like, fighting people, even if they even touched them. Like, so I've been sitting here like, you got maybe the most athletic quarterback who's ever seen a field. Sans Anthony Richardson. And we're finesse running with guys who aren't even good at run blocking. I was very confused by it. But I agree. I think that a power run scheme would be more effective especially when you got bigger bodies like Torrance and Spencer Brown. None of this pulling guard. You're not pulling Osiris Torrance. Why would you? Just get him out in front of the guy, in front of him, and say, move him backwards.
Yeah.
That's really all there is to it. You shield off a guy, another guy shields off a guy, a hole is created. You know what I mean? And the rest is up to the running back. So I would like to see that implemented. I know that Mitch Morris, I feel like he would be decent in the power run scheme if he was a little younger. But I feel like whoever replaces him, if they make that like another Osiris, Torrance, Spencer Brown type in terms of just being, the physical stature being like very, very large, I feel like we will assimilate more into that line of thinking with the power run scheme. But for right now, honestly, if I had to be honest with you, I believe that they're going to keep that finesse stuff going. And I hope not, but
yeah. With Aaron Cromer too, I feel like the power run game is more his style, like hat on a hat. He loves that stuff. He loves being tough and physical like that. So I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean it's definitely.
They didn't even run a zone scheme with Shady McCoy, like
right, which he is the textbook zone running
runner. Exactly. Yeah. And the power run scheme worked for Shady McCoy.
It did. It did. He had some great years with us, man. Yeah.
He did. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love Tommy coming in and saying he's thinking 1,300 to 1,400 total yards. Freaking love that. I'm saying, how about rushing yards? Not total yards. How about rushing yards? Let's get some fantasy numbers. We haven't had a 1,000-yard back since Shady.
Do we finally get a 1,000-yard rusher? Do we? I'm going to say we do, Jake.
I hope so. I think it's time. We're long overdue. I mean, it's been 6 years now. And I know, like, the run game, it's not intriguing. But how nice would that be? You look at balanced offenses. I mean, it can only help, right? And then good luck. I mean, what do you do then?
The run game can be intrigued. I know I'm intrigued every time 17 runs with the ball. So,
I mean, absolutely, man, for sure.
I just want to say we did extend the dollar beers for another half hour, so make sure you get your order in. We got a few more minutes on that deal.
And Loganberry on tap is my poison.
Oh yeah, gotta have that Loganberry, man. That's some good stuff right there. All right, so guys, I mean, we've kind of covered everything. Is there, and Justus, I mean, I want to make sure we've given you, talked about everything you want to. Is there anything else? Because we're up for it if you have more.
One last thing.
Sure.
Let's say there's a particular player, really good player, a little older, but still a really good player. He wants big money right now. What? Let's say, all right, I'm not getting the money I thought that I was going to command. I want to win a championship. He joins his little brother's team. Would you guys welcome Dalvin Cook with open arms?
I would. Absolutely, I would. Now, it kind of muddies the running back room a little bit, but why wouldn't you want a guy like that on the team? I mean, really. It depends how much cap he would eat up, too. I don't even know how you get that deal done, but I would absolutely welcome it. What about you? I mean, I feel like you might not be for that. You think that would kind of mess with James Cook and, like, how his career progresses? Or it's an interesting...
I mean, if you're asking me, that's the great point, Jake. That's exactly what I would say is, how's the brother feel about that? Yeah, he's going to say, yeah, of course I'd love to have my brother, but now my brother's taking, time away from me, right? Yeah. If you sign Dalvin Cook, you have to play him. All of a sudden I said, James Cook is getting 60% of the snaps. That goes down, and Dalvin Cook's probably going to be your premier running back, in my opinion. But, Justus, like Jake was saying, what are you thinking there?
I mean, listen, if he came for cheap enough, absolutely. But I wouldn't want to spend big money on him. If I was going to spend big money on a running back, I would say go get Jonathan Taylor. But
younger,
I really don't think it. Until I see it, I really don't think Kyle. I really don't think that Ken Dorsey is going to emphasize the run. So, like I said, until I see it,
good point. Yeah, great point. Yeah, we spend all that money on them. Let's say we do give them a big deal, and then we don't see them using them. And I mean, how frustrating would that be? For sure.
We've been talking a lot of wings here too. I wanted to ask this question to Justice because I don't think we actually asked him.
Nope.
And we like to ask our guests, especially Buffalonians, where is your favorite wing spot? You got a wing spot? You got a pizza spot? What are the places, Justice?
All right. I'm obsessed with Picasso's Pizza.
Hell yeah. Love it.
Favorite wing spot is a toss-up. I really like Avenue's Pizza and Wings. Avenue's on Bailey.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. Bella's is great.
Bella's good, man.
And Lenova's Pizza and Wings are both very good. And Bar Bill, of course, is up there as well.
All right, got some new ones. That's some new ones for me that I haven't heard about, so that's cool.
Have you had Mulberry wings by chance?
I have not.
Mulberry.
So Mulberry is like this really good Italian restaurant here in Buffalo. You've had to have heard of that, Mike. That's a South Buffalo place. Yeah. So Josh Allen swears by it. I don't know I know there was the Trey White wing on there. Trey White had his own Buffalo wing or something like that. So maybe he's saying it because of that. But from what I heard, they have really good wings there. And Josh Allen lists it in his top 3. He's got Bar Bill,
top 3,
Mulberry, and then I think he said there was another one. I don't know if he said Gabe's Gate or maybe Gabe's Gate was the other one. But yeah,
I've heard a lot about Gabe's Gate.
Oh, it's good, man. Gabe's Gate, 911 Tavern, those two places are phenomenal. Elmo's in the North Towns. Now we're talking with Linda earlier. There is one place in the North, 2 places in the North Towns, Wing Nuts and Elmo's, both phenomenal.
I'm going to have to do like a weekly wing test and try a new wing every week.
There you
go.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
And let us know. Let us know because we love talking wings.
Absolutely.
So my son Brandon calls me. He's like, "Dad, I'm at Wing Nuts," because I told you guys last week that I have my kids going around town taking some video pictures of these different wing places so that we can do a show on it. Well, he gets to the Wing Nuts, and I don't know where he was, Jake. It wasn't the one on Military Road. It was some other place that he found, and Niagara Boulevard. I forget where.
Niagara Falls Boulevard.
Okay,
yeah.
So he showed up there, which has no space at all. I'm like, no, that's not the place. I wanted you to go where they have the Froth Brewing Company. And so we had to reschedule that. But that's where he showed up. He found it. I'm like, I haven't heard much about that location. All I've ever heard about is the Froth Brewing location.
So the one on Niagara Falls Boulevard, I believe, is only takeout. Takeout only.
Okay, yeah.
And Timmy, actually, when he introduced me to Wing Nuts or got it for us, I think that's where he went. He just did the takeout.
Okay.
So Froth, it's actually inside Froth Brewing, and they got their own spot there. And what a cool story with that. They were kind of on the come up with Pardon My Take. So Pardon My Take with Barstool Sports. They came to Buffalo. They met this guy, Ed, and his wife. They had this little place at the Knights of Columbus down in Buffalo somewhere. And they ended up getting huge, kind of got a little promotion and whatnot, and people started going. They're like, this is awesome. Then they opened up 2 locations, and I think they're opening up another one too. So great success story there.
I think they opened one in Rochester. I think the Shout podcast actually did a show there recently.
So, I was so mad I couldn't go there, but
Have you gotten to training camp, Justice?
Oh yeah.
Not, unfortunately. I am working mostly during the time. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So until I can do this full time.
That's right, brother.
That's our dream. All right. Well, let me ask you guys a couple quick questions, non-Bills related, and then we'll end this show. Again, tip your bartender and your staff. Hit that like button. Smash that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. But Jake, let me ask you this first. Give me 2 or 3 rookies, not on the Bills, that you are going to be keeping an eye on this year.
Well, you have to say Bijan Robinson. Really curious to see what happens because that Atlanta running back room is actually loaded. I mean, they have Cordero Patterson still. They had the kid who ran for over 1,000 yards last year as a freaking rookie. I mean, and then you draft Bijan Robinson, and he's set to make a whole hell of a lot of money, and he's got the whole entire running back, I guess, union in the league talking about how running backs aren't paid enough. And obviously I agree with it. It sucks because it is kind of like an expendable position. But Yeah, so absolutely him. And then I think you got to look at Carolina. Look at what's going to go on there with Bryce Young. I don't know. I mean, it's they're kind of like a weird team right now where they're going through this rebuild slash non-rebuild phase. They bring in Frank Reich and definitely an intriguing couple players to watch. So obviously the first over, I mean, it was kind of an easy cop out, right? But those are my two guys that I'll be paying a lot of attention to outside of the Bills.
All right, Justice, what about you? Were there any guys in the draft that you were obviously disappointed the Bills passed over that you're going to be keeping an eye on?
I wasn't necessarily upset that we passed over anybody except maybe Nakobe Dean. I feel like I was
yeah.
like Nakobe Dean. But once I saw we got Osiris Torrance, I was like, oh, never mind. I'm not mad anymore.
You're good.
I was like, I'm fine. Okay, I'll be okay.
Dude, the Eagles got the entire Georgia defense. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's exactly where I'm going, actually. I'm going to be looking at Jalen Carter. Because there's one thing to be dominant in college, right? Reggie Bush was maybe the best college athlete we've ever seen in our lives. Unbelievable. I mean, literally doing impossible. Video game on the actual football field.
Yeah.
And then, he goes to the NFL. He was serviceable. It was nothing. He wasn't bad or anything, but he wasn't Reggie Bush. So I would like to see if Jalen Carter translate to the NFL the same way he did in college, especially because he doesn't really seem like he can keep his head in the game. So I'll be interested to see how that investment shapes out. Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'll be watching him. I feel like
see the one-handed catch in practice?
I feel like he went to a terrific spot for him in Seattle. DK Metcalf is great. I was upset we passed on him, that's for sure. Especially because we passed on for Cody. All right, I digress. Dalton Kincaid genuinely would be one of my guys, even if he didn't play for the Bills. And thirdly, or fourthly, I'll say Anthony Richardson, just because the talent is ridiculous. And I want to see if this is going to be like Josh Allen 2.0 or if this is going to be like Trey Lance 2.0, right? Because I feel like it could go either way at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I like that
stuff. Yeah.
I got two more I want to throw in too.
Sure.
I was a huge Zay Flowers guy, and I was devastated when I see the Ravens go ahead and get this guy. And also to add insult to injury, we're talking about our two guys, Chris and Rick, who are Ravens fans. They're part of our channel as well. Rick does a golf show for us, and then Chris does a fantasy show on our channel. And, of course, they end up getting my top prospect, the dude that I really wanted the Bills to go after, Zay Flowers. Basically Steve Smith 2.0, right? But I'm glad we obviously got Dalton Kincaid. I mean, 6'4", 240-pound slot receiver, but got to be paying attention to Zay Flowers just because of that. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, a guy that goes well earlier than everyone thought he would and is now the featured back in Detroit. They let go of Jamal Williams. They trade DeAndre Swift. So, I mean, they did sign David Montgomery, so that's going to be interesting. But really curious to see what happens there. I love what the Lions have going on there right now. I freaking love Dan Campbell. His press conference, his initial press conference, fired me up so much, man. That is a fun team, and I'm happy for them because I feel like Detroit, obviously there's a connection there with Ralph Wilson and whatnot, so really excited to see what happens there. I think they have a shot at winning the NFC North. I mean, it's going to be tough. The Vikings, obviously, they go and get, kid out of USC.
Jordan Addison,
yeah. But, yeah, I think the Lions have the best shot, obviously, at winning that division. So, Jahmyr Gibbs, though, want to see what happens with him.
I agree with that. And then also they got Jack Campbell, who went.
Yeah, Jack Campbell. That's Mike's guy.
Where he was supposed to go. I genuinely thought we were going to draft Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
And when he went 15, I was like, so we'll see.
Yeah.
That's one of mine. Jack Campbell. Jake knows I was pushing for him. I mean, we're going to fill Tremaine Edmonds. I'm old school. Give me that big middle linebacker. Yeah, give me that guy. And he's been getting good press in camp as well. Looks like he may be starting, day one. And then Another one for me, again, I don't have the big names like you guys do, just some guys that we were looking at pre-draft. Wanya Morris, who was drafted by the Chiefs. He was available when the Bills took Dorian Williams. And you can argue that we had a need for tackle, and Wanya Morris is a swing tackle. He's competing for that starting swing tackle position, play right or left side. So it's going to be interesting. He's with the Chiefs. He was taken right after or slightly after Dorian Williams was. Of course, I got Zach Kuntz, who I don't know if he'll make a big splash this year, but he's 6'8", tight end for the New York Jets with a 40-inch vertical, runs a 4.5. The guy's an absolute freak. But the only knock on him is just the way he catches the ball. But, I mean, 6'8", 40-inch vertical, throw me the ball, coach. Just throw it to me up high in the end zone. Who's going to be able to leap with me? Nobody. And then who did I say I was going to buy jerseys for? Jake?
Andre Osavas. Kid out of Princeton. Goes to the Bengals, and he's a different type of Tiger now. So unbelievable.
He's a 6th-rounder. And with the Bengals, I mean, they have the three-headed beast there at the wide receiver position group. But love this kid. And actually, he's been getting some really good press in training camp. So he may make a splash there, but we'll see. It's going to be hard to work his way in with those 3 wide receivers. That's kind of the three or four for me. And then the last question, you kind of answered it. Give me a team, Jake, and you kind of already mentioned one, but so you can mention them again. Give me a team who didn't make the playoffs last year that you think is going to make a big push this year, get into the playoffs, not only just as a, not just a one and done, but a team that can really pose a threat in the playoffs this year that didn't make it last year.
I also think the Saints.
Okay.
The NFC South is wide open right now. And listen, Derek Carr, I know he kind of got shat on a little bit there in Vegas, man. He was dealt a tough hand. I know they gave him Devontae Adams last year, but Josh McDaniels, I don't know if he's head coach material. I like what the Saints have done. Michael Thomas coming back too. Chris Olave. I mean, they got a squad. Elvin Kamara. We heard about his suspension that's going to be going on too. 3-game suspension. So it's not terrible. They'll be able to weather the storm there. So I think the Saints, they're another team too.
All right. And then what about you, Justus? What's a team that you're like, wow, this team, maybe was a 500 team last year, maybe a little bit above that or below that, but they're going to make a serious play.
Notice
push.
I didn't say the Jets, by the way.
I know. I was expecting it. Well, Jets are an obvious. I think they're an obvious one. They have to be.
All right. So I have 4 teams, and I will say the Jets were one of them.
Yeah, me too.
So for me, I say the Lions. They started off as a scrappy team, but I feel like once you take a scrappy team and you turn them into a disciplined team, you just have a good team. And so we'll see if they're able to take that next step. This would be the year to do it because ding dong, the witch is dead, right? Aaron Rodgers is gone. And so the North is wide open. Now, you would assume that the Vikings would go and take the throne, just off the sheer fact that they have Justin Jefferson. But I don't know if I feel like the Vikings have the best player in the division in Justin Jefferson. I feel like they have the 3rd best roster. I have the Chicago
How about the
Bears.
Yeah.
Bears?
Yannick Ngakoue too this past week. I mean, shoot, man.
They got a lot of people this offseason. They paid out a lot of money to a lot of people. Justin Fields is going to have another year of experience under his belt, and I feel like he's going to just continue to ascend and to try to fortify the offensive line. So they gave him weapons. It looks like he is really getting along with his new number 1 receiver. So I feel like Chicago is also a threat to take over that top spot in the NFC North. I feel like it'll be a dogfight between them and the Vikings and the Lions. And then the last team I have is the Falcons. Mm-hmm. Because of the reaches that Jake mentioned earlier, you got Bijan Robinson and Cordero Patterson. I have secretly been a fan of Marcus Mariota for a little while now. I feel like he has the tools to be a good quarterback. I just don't know if he's ever been given the proper surroundings, I'll say. Because I feel like Tennessee did him dirty. It was like he was doing his thing, one of the top overall picks, whatever. And then, I feel like Ryan Tannehill came, took over the job, and then they immediately started giving him assets to be good. And it was just like, why didn't y'all give these assets to Marcus Mariota? So I feel like Marcus Mariota has something to prove. Having Kyle Pitts,
Justice, I hate to burst your bubble, but Marcus Mariota has officially signed with the Eagles this offseason.
Did he really? Who's the
Desmond
Ritter?
Desmond Ritter. But don't forget their backup, another journeyman, Taylor Heineke. It might be Heineke time. If things go south, listen, that's a guy I root for all the time. I freaking love Taylor Heineke. And I like Desmond Ritter, but if things go south, that's a dude that can really turn things around. I mean, you saw what he did in Washington.
Yeah.
Took them to the playoffs, almost beat the Buccaneers in the first round a couple of years ago.
I do like Taylor Heineke.
Tyler Algier, by the way, that was the other running back that I meant to mention, and I've been forgetting names. I don't know if the CTE's kicking in or what, Mike. I can only use the CTE excuse for like 4 or 5 years. I've been using it for like 30 years now, my whole life. So
it's all good, man.
Tyler Algier, yeah, their running back room is loaded, and Kyle Pitts, and they signed Jesse Bates, I think, too. I mean, they're loaded. They put a lot of money into that roster this year. So absolutely agree.
All right, for me, it was the Jets. I agree with you, Justice. Of course, the Steelers. I think the Steelers get back there. Detroit. I agree with you, Jake. Detroit's going to be strong, and I think the Browns are going to be strong this year.
Okay,
Cleveland Browns.
True. That's true.
Watch out. So we have our first preseason game. Buffalo Bills play next Saturday, 1 p.m. in Buffalo against the Colts. So looking forward to that. Got another week here building up to that game, and man, I just can't wait to see the Bills and an actual preseason game. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
So do we tailgate for preseason games or no?
Oh, hell yeah. Always. Forever.
Right.
Absolutely, man. So preseason, I'm a psycho for saying this, but I love the preseason. And honestly, I don't love, I'm not a total psycho where I'll say I love it more than regular season, but shoot, it's close. It's right there. You talk about just men going out there grinding for their livelihoods. That's freaking awesome, man. There's something to be said about that,
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be fun to see who wins those battles that we've been talking about, and if they're just anyone else that isn't being talked about, that all of a sudden, when we see them in preseason, it's like, okay, we didn't expect this, but I'm sure we're going to see somebody rise to the top, or just be that person that like, oh my gosh, this guy might make the roster. Let's go.
For sure.
So, guys, it's been fun. I think, again, the official dollar beers is over now. Thank you for, we were able to get that. Jake has some connections at the bar and was able to extend that for an extra 30 minutes. Justice, we appreciate your time, man. It's been a lot of fun. I hope we get to chat again, or maybe get onto one of your shows. Do you have an active podcast going on right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Active podcast going on right now. Yes, we just started Built Different with my guy Jake Jordan. I know Jake. Jakes are just great people. Okay, I don't know what it is, but Jake is like my partner in crime. So I Built Different with Jake Jordan. He also is my co-host for the Madden Casts.
Gonna check that out for sure.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I have Sunday in February with my guy, the Caveman, Mike the Caveman, another great guy, amazing content creator. His TikTok is the most entertaining thing in the world. And then I have a podcast called Justice for All. I think I'm going to bring it back this year. I think I'm going to incorporate my little brother a little bit because he's a really big basketball and boxing fan. And I'm cool in basketball. I lack in boxing. I'm not super into it, and he's like really into it. So I want to, definitely make the most out of that. And and check out some of the other great shows on Fanbase. The Kagan Report. My man Tommy's in the building, of course. Mafia Sports Report. Nico City Crew. Just a great list of people, a great list of shows. Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. This has been absolutely so much fun. Mike, you have a great host voice. All right, this is amazing. Jake, just full of energy. I like the setup. I could see this going very, very far for you guys.
I appreciate it, man.
Justus, if you want to send Jake in an email the links to those podcasts, I'll put them in the description of
we're
the show
going to be talking. Don't you worry.
Yeah,
we'll get them all. I mean, we're linking the hell out of you, man. We appreciate it.
Definitely.
For real.
So thank you all. Again, appreciate everyone out there in the channel with us today. It was a lot of fun. So we'll see you this Wednesday on the Wednesday Tailgate Show. And everyone else, see you soon. And go Bills. I'm going to leave you with this great outro. Let's go.
Bills Mafia, circling a wagon, you feel me? Nickel City Mafia, let's go!
Josh Allen, quarterback supreme, leading the Bills to the top of the league. Weapons by his side, and that defense hella mean. Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. I said Buffalo's got a team that must be seen. Yeah. Come on. J17 leading the charge. Buffalo Bills on the rise. Passing game on point. Ain't no mirage. Happening right in your eyes. Ain't no surprise. Buffalo stacking the QBs. Stephon Diggs holding in the pass. Group cars in having go deep. We're circling wagon. Just wait and see. From Wyoming to the NFL, Josh Allen's got the skills. Air raid, deep ball, touchdowns for real. Leading the Bills to playoff drills. Real time, this ain't no drill. Cold game, we're giving them chills. Check the score, now you know the deal.
Nickel City Mafia.